Oi, fala aí pessoal, bom dia. Você está escutando o Inglês no Rádio. I am your host, Foster Hodge. This is your daily dose of English. Hey Alexia.
Hey, Foster.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm doing excellent. Where are we coming from today?
Coming from?
Yeah, where are we speaking to the audience from?
We are at Kiowa Island, which is in South Carolina, right next to Charleston.
Excellent. Yeah, you always hear the famous news announcers say like, coming to you live from New York City, da 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 da. So live from Kiowa Island, coming to you from Kiowa.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, bad start. So today, Alexia, we're going to talk about American stereotypes.
Ooh.
So you've been in the U.S. for a little over 2 months now.
Almost 2 months.
So can I ask you a question? What are some of the stereotypes, maybe not things that you believe, but when people in Brazil are talking about Americans, what are the common images that come up in people's minds?
That Americans are cold.
Americans are cold?
Yeah.
In the sense of it is cold in the U.S., temperature?
No, they're not as friendly as Brazilians are.
Mm-hmm. So maybe they're more reserved.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you agree with that?
I think it depends. Like, with your friends, it's really cool always. They are not that reserved with me.
Yeah, my friends are really cool. Have
But
the coolest friends.
but when you are in Brazil, at least in Rio, you become someone's best friend in just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Here, it's not like this.
Yeah, I do think there is a little bit of a longer time frame,
Yeah,
but there's also a completely different paradigm about friendships and
Yes.
what that means.
exactly.
That's for an entirely different episode. So today we have a list of American stereotypes, some of the most common, and I just want to ask you about a couple of them and get your opinion. Is that
Okay.
cool?
Of course.
Okay. So the first one says obesity, that the majority of the world thinks that all Americans are fat. I think statistically that is probably true. But what's your opinion? Are Americans fat? Are we eating McDonald's all the time?
No, I think it depends where those Americans live. Live.
Perfect.
I think it's if people from California who live next to the coast, they are more concerned about their bodies, or
Okay.
people who live in Miami or anything else. But
Disclaimer, Alexia has never traveled to California or Miami.
no, but I can imagine that. No, Miami, I've been there. But we just watched that documentary from Anthony Bourdain of food waste.
Yes.
Do you remember that part that there is a new like supermarket, fresh market, and people who doesn't have enough money,
People who don't?
who don't have enough money was really, really happy about it because they finally could buy fresh and good and healthy ingredients and food for themselves besides buying $1
Right.
McDonald's
Right.
cheeseburger.
Great. So, real quick, people in English is already plural. So, this is a big problem for a lot of English learners. It was a big problem for me when I was learning Portuguese because in Brazilian Portuguese, and all forms of Portuguese, when you say gente, gente is already singular, right? So, I remember when I started learning Portuguese, I said things like, a gente são, or something like that. And people are like, no, cara, a gente é. But in English, we always say, the people are, so they were happy about the new supermarket. Perfect. Yeah, I agree. A lot of people make the argument that the problem of obesity in the U.S. has to do with the cheaper the food is, the worse it is for you in terms of your health.
Yeah, and speaking in general, and I didn't study about this, so I watched a few documentaries about it, and that's it. I do agree with that.
But what's your general feel? Like, do you just walking around in the southeast of the U.S., do you feel like there are a lot more fat people? Because
No,
in Rio and Sao Paulo, there are a lot of people that are in shape, but there are a lot of
no.
fatties
I
too.
haven't seen obese people around that much as people think that are here.
Yeah. Not every American is 400 pounds.
Of course not.
Yeah. I'm getting there, but
No,
slowly.
stop
Let's
it.
surely. Okay. So, first stereotype, maybe a little bit false, but there's definitely some truth to it as well.
Yeah,
Great.
but I think it's false. Like all Americans are fat
Yeah.
or obese.
Stereotypes inherently have a little bit of truth and a lot of falsities to them, you know? Okay, stereotype number 2, that Americans are obsessed with guns.
I love that you were smiling saying this.
I'm not smiling. I don't like guns.
I hate guns as well, but you know that I would be really mad about it.
So, Alexia, when you were here, shortly after you arrived, was the largest mass shooting in modern American history in Las Vegas.
Unfortunately.
A crazy guy
Yes.
killed, I think, 59 people, injured and wounded almost 500 more. So there's been a lot of talk in the media and politics about guns, gun control. What's your just general perspective about the Americans you've interacted with, my friends, my family? How do they think about guns compared to the typical Brazilian?
I come from a city that, a country that guns aren't legal at all for civilians, unless you are
Civilians.
unless you are from the military or anything like this. But in Rio, you can see people carrying guns all around it, and it's really scary. Here, United States, I only saw 3 people carrying guns. They were sitting down on a restaurant with their rifles, and I felt really, really insecure. But I do think that this law won't change. They won't take off the rights of Americans.
Mm-hmm. Take away the
Take
rights.
away. Yeah, I knew it was wrong.
Right.
But what
You
I
can't change the
can't
Second Amendment.
what I can't understand is like taking this guy who killed a lot of people in LA and past month.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Why did I say LA? I don't know. In Las Vegas, he had an arsenal at home, right?
Yeah, he had like 30 military-style weapons.
Yeah, this should be on his registry, on the system, inside the system.
Yeah.
What I can't understand is like, okay, anyone can have whatever they want, can have a gun, etc., but once you have more than 50 guns inside your house, and this is not strange, it's really wrong.
Yeah. So 50 guns should be the limit.
No, you understand what I...
Yeah, I disagree with all guns, but
Yeah, I do as
I
well. Just to
really-
let you know, I do disagree. I don't like it.
yeah. So I had some.
There is no control about it at all.
There's a little bit of control. Like a little kid can't just legally walk into a Walmart and buy a gun.
Yeah, but
But I can.
a white guy, rich white guy on his 50s, 60s years, 60s,
In his 50s or 60s.
yes, can buy more than 50 guns, and
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Cray. What about in terms of like my family and friends? What kind of vibe are you getting from just their general attitude? Alexia is not happy with. So let me explain the situation. Not most of my friends, but a lot of my friends also are kind of very scared of guns. We are all bookish, academic people that don't want to deal with guns. But I do have a lot of friends. I'm from the South. I have a lot of friends that hunt and really support the idea of every American having the opportunity to protect themselves. And for example, my parents really respect the idea that every American should have a gun. But I think if you talk to them normally, you would never think like, "Oh, my parents are radical people that want guns." That's just their way of thinking, right?
Yes. And it's not wrong. There is nothing wrong about it as well.
Yeah. Agree to disagree. Alexia looks very uncomfortable. So we will do one more American stereotype.
Thank you.
So far, we talked about fat, obesity, and guns. Let's do one more negative stereotype, and then maybe tomorrow we can do some positive stereotypes, okay?
Okay.
The last stereotype here on the list is that Americans are loud.
Loud?
Yeah.
No, Brazilians are loud.
Okay. Explain
What do
yourself.
you mean about loud?
So there is the stereotype that when you're traveling, that when Americans are traveling in other countries, they're always talking loud, they're being a little obnoxious, maybe they're drinking a lot. And I just have the image of the American, like in Paris, that doesn't speak French, and a Parisian person does not understand them, so they just say the same thing louder. Like,
No,
"Hey, can you
I think
help
you
me
are. No, this is totally. This is a Brazilian.
That's interesting.
Yes, I have no
No.
idea. I
So let me
totally
explain.
disagree with that.
So most of the world, I'm not saying everyone, most countries in the world view Americans as very loud, kind of arrogant, obnoxious people that talk a lot and talk really loud. Then most of the world views Brazilians as just like fun, party, sociable people.
Yeah, we are loud.
It's very interesting that somehow Brazilians manage to do that in a positive way and Americans manage to do it in an annoying way.
No, last time when I was coming back home from United States, I was inside of an airplane, of course, and there was a group of 20 guys from Minas Gerais, Mineiros, and for 9 hours, they couldn't shut up at all. So,
I love Mineiros.
yeah, I love as well. It's
I
my
love them
family.
as well.
But I think no, I think that Brazilians are loud in a good way and in a bad way.
Cool. Cool. So, first stereotype, Americans are fat. Kind of true. Not everybody. Depends on the situation. Americans love guns. Certainly in a different way than Brazilians.
Yes,
Americans are loud. You disagree.
I do disagree.
Awesome. Cool. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm fine. No more bad things about Americans, please.
There certainly are, but we will not talk about them live on the air. So next time we'll talk about some positive stereotypes. Até a próxima.